Hello, my name is Emily Freeman. I am an RN to BSN student at Indiana State University. This is my Community Health Nursing Health Education project. The topic we are covering today is workplace violence. The population at risk for this topic is nurses. I will be focusing specifically on lateral bullying. Our learning objectives, upon the completion of this presentation, the viewer will be able to understand the definition of workplace violence and lateral bullying, understand why the behavior is detrimental to the field of nursing, understand why this behavior negatively impacts safe and effective patient care, recognize bullying, hostile, violent, and harassing behaviors, and know what to do in the event that they are victims or witness this kind of behavior. Please stop at this point of the presentation and take a pre-test in order to assess your knowledge on workplace violence and lateral bullying. The pre-test can be accessed by clicking on the link provided at the beginning of the YouTube video. What is workplace violence and what is lateral bullying? Workplace violence can be defined as any behavior that is an act or threat of violence. This can range from verbal abuse to assaults that are physical in nature towards someone who is at their place of work. The profession of nursing is meant to be one of compassion and caring. However, there is a dark side. Have you ever heard the phrase that nurses eat their young? This occurs when a more seasoned nurse displays harassing and hostile behaviors towards a new nurse. Which brings us to the focus of this presentation, lateral bullying. This can be defined, and also known as horizontal violence, can be defined as non-physical, aggressive, hostile, and behaviors that are harmful. These behaviors happen between coworkers. There are many areas of focus in relation to workplace violence, but for the purpose of this presentation, we're going to focus on lateral bullying amongst nurses, how bullying can be detrimental to the field of nursing, how bullying negatively impacts patient care, and how nurses can recognize the signs of bullying and how to stop it. How can workplace violence and bullying be detrimental to the field of nursing? The field of nursing is meant to be a field of compassion, but the fact is that this field can be very stressful. We're seeing people at their most vulnerable times. We witness major illnesses, injuries, and death. This can weigh heavily on a person. Nurses often work tirelessly through bathroom breaks and lunch breaks in order to meet the needs of their patient population. Additionally, and unfortunately, lateral bullying does happen. This is peer-to-peer bullying. This behavior is very unfortunate, and it can lead to high turnover rates, mental health implications on the victim, and can contribute to the ever-growing nursing shortage. How does one recognize if they are the victim of lateral bullying? And how do you recognize if someone else is the victim? These behaviors can be subtle or they can be obvious. The bottom line is that we need to know how to recognize these behaviors so that we can stop them immediately. Nurses have to know how to advocate for themselves and how to look out for one another. We cannot afford to lose nurses to the stresses of bullying. We all start out fresh without knowledge. We all have to learn how to grow as nurses. And it's up to us to be that nurse that helps a new nurse learn. It's only set to benefit our patient population who need us and they trust us for safe and effective patient care. I have provided a little graphic here of what horizontal violence in nursing can look like. You know, you have some nurses that will withhold knowledge from a new nurse and may just not speak to them, which obviously we have to be able to do effective SBAR handoff so that the nurse coming on can take as best care of that patient as possible. There's eye rolling, there's rumors, just scapegoating, undermining a nurse in front of a patient or their colleagues. All of these behaviors are harmful and stressful, and it's just not necessary, and there should be no tolerance. How can workplace violence negatively impact patient care? This behavior contributes to the nursing shortage because some nurses will leave the field as this behavior creates such a hostile environment for them. They'll just decide not to be a nurse anymore after all that hard work in school and money paid. They will find another profession because they just cannot tolerate the stress from being bullied. Nurses who display the bullying behavior will withhold information, as I said before, from their victim, which creates a breakdown in the line of communication, which is so important when transferring the care of a patient. Nurses who are the victims of bullying may take more sick time in order to avoid the bullying behavior, which creates to staffing shortages. Bullying also contributes to nurse burnout. And over here we have some things that can occur as an effect of nurses being stressed out or bullying. Burnout is correlated with an increased risk of infection in patients. It gives lower ratings. Nurses experience burnout receive lower patient satisfaction ratings. And there's a higher mortality rate, 7% increased risk of patient mortality when nurses have more than 4 patients, which is stressful enough. And then you have the bullying contributing to burnout behavior. It is up to nurses to learn how to recognize the signs of bullying for ourselves and for our peers and how to stop them. We have to be advocates for ourselves and for one another. This behavior must be reported to the direct manager. The aggressors must be held accountable. There should be policies in place, such as a civility in the workplace agreement, that everyone reads and signs and they understand what behavior will not be tolerated. And this has to be adhered to. It can't just be something that you have nurses sign just yearly. If a nurse exhibits this kind of bullying behavior, they need to be redirected back to this civility in the workplace agreement or whatever the policy is, and they need to be warned that they can be terminated for this behavior, because we just cannot afford to lose good nurses to bullying. Like I said, there should be a zero tolerance policy in all facilities where this behavior is concerned. Please stop here and take the POST test in order to assess your knowledge on workplace violence. This POST test can be accessed by clicking on the link provided at the beginning of the YouTube video. I've provided a flyer here that gives a direct link to the CDC, which has a great course that is geared towards workplace violence for nurses. It's a prevention class that you can take. It teaches the signs of bullying, what to look for, and what to do about it. And if you click on the link at the beginning of the YouTube video, you can find a printable copy of this flyer. And this concludes my presentation. Thank you for watching.